Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today's a little bit different video. I've got a new piece of equipment that I want to show everybody, and you'll be seeing a lot of it in the future. We'll be using it. You've probably heard me talk about boring machine and how it's just a one-trick pony, and it's just all that thing's going to do is bore. And I really wanted to get a new machine because my old one is pretty wore out. It was wore out when I bought it, and it's more so now. It's still good for a lot of things, but you know, if you really need some accuracy and you're doing a lot of work in the X or the Y axis, it's you know, extended table work, then I run into problems with my old unit. So I wanted to take pretty much show the whole procedure, getting it off the truck and all that stuff, but I didn't get it done. Had a lot of issues. So I'll show you what I've got, and then I'm going to go over a few things here. Since I've had it and I've got it set up, I'm just about ready to start using it. So what it is I bought a new knee milling machine, and it's a Bridgeport clone. It's made by Jet, and they're made in Taiwan instead of China, so the quality is a little bit better, and it really seems to be a good unit. Picked this one up from MSC. They had a deal that I just could not pass up. For the money that I had to pay, I was able to get the shipping free, the liftgate service free, and it was here in a week from Georgia. So I'm really impressed with that. And actually, it's a bigger unit than what I was looking for. It's the one I was had my eye on was a 2 horsepower with a 42-inch table, and this one came in as a 3 horsepower with a 49-inch table. So it's got quite a bit more capacity, and it was, I don't know, about $70 less than the smaller unit, plus the free shipping and free liftgate. If it hadn't been for that, I just couldn't afford to spend the money. But anyhow, let me take you around a little bit. This whole video is just little snippets, clips here and there, so it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just a bunch of little thoughts here and there. So let me get you around here. Hi guys, new machine day. I didn't get any footage of it coming off the truck because I kept having trouble. They brought too big a truck, then they came back with a smaller truck and dropped it off, and I just pushed it in with my tractor, and for some reason they had to put another pallet under it, so that's adding to my problems. So I think I'm going to have to spin this around. I can't pick it up with my tractor, it's too small for that. All I can do is kind of push it around. But I think my plan was to pick it up with with just one side of the lift. This is 6,000 pounds, so it should pick up half of that on one side, but I'm not situated right. I've got to get this other pallet out from underneath it. So I think what I'm going to have to do is spin it around to where this pallet is straight, so I can pick it up with the 4 feet of the lift and pull the other pallet out and then reposition it again. So I think that's what I'm going to work on. I did want to show everybody a new machine I got. I just ordered this a couple weeks ago, and it showed up a day or two ago. And I've got it pretty well set up. And this one is brand new, so it's not wore out like my old one. I'll still probably be using the old one. There's a lot of things I can use it for that I don't need a high degree of accuracy. And really, it's not a big deal boring on it because nothing moves. You know, once you get it set up, it stays in one place. But I think this one will be easier to get them to set up in. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more machining content just because I've got more machines. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, and I just thought, well, I'm not getting any younger, so I better go ahead and get it done and enjoy it before I can't enjoy it. So this is the kind of thing I do instead of traveling, going to the bars, that kind of thing. This is what my hobbies are, the motorcycles and the machining, and I'm trying to intertwine the two and use the machining to rebuild and recondition the motorcycles. My idea was to get a lot more video on unloading the new mill and getting it in position, but I just ran into so many difficulties that I just didn't have time to do it. And there's plenty, if you'd like to see that kind of thing on YouTube, there's quite a few different folks that have posted it. I just didn't think that I needed to post it again, but my intent was to do it. It just, everything snowballed on me. The weather was bad. The trucking company sent too big a truck out. They had to go get another truck so they could get in the driveway. It was quite the thing, so I just didn't get much. Okay, this is my old Bridgeport here, and the problem I had with this is it's worn in a, you know, where everything is worn out in the middle on both the X and the Y axis. It's kind of like a canoe, and as long as you're in the middle of the travel, you know, probably 6 or 8 inches either side of the vise here, and in the middle of the Y, probably 4 inches either way. Everything's okay, but it's pretty loose, and that's why I put the DRO and everything on, so I could kind of, you know, I could tell where I was at, because once you get a lot of wear in it, you really have no idea where you're at or whether anything's moving. So that's why I would do that. And as long as, if I was boring, like the cylinders and stuff, everything's fine on that because it stays in one place. But if you, like on the last one where I had to move it a little bit to be able to do a full cleanup in my bore, you have to offset it a little bit. And if you can't control that, you're going to have a bad bore. But I was able to control it because of the DRO, and I could tell whether or not it would move or not. And everything, once you get everything locked down, it's good. But it can be difficult to set up. So this is the new one I got, and I'm still working on setting it up. I got a Quill DRO, which is basically just a caliper that hooks up to it, and I hooked that up a day or two ago. And all you British gentlemen and ladies will be proud of me for buying a Newell DRO for this one. The only thing that I have found that I just don't care for on the Newell is they don't put an on-off switch on it. What's up with that? You have to pull it out of the wall, or in my case, out of the ceiling. So I would have to climb up there every day and disconnect it, or pull it out here. But what I did was I found this little switch here where it's just a plug on both ends where I can plug the DRO into this and plug it into the ceiling, in my case, and I can turn it off and on right here. So that's all that button does, is just work the DRO. I was just going through and I was verifying the reading here is the same as the reading here on my dial. And I'll go ahead and finish this up. I'll go ahead and check all the axes, but it's right on this, on the x-axis. So I'm sure that the rest of them will be too. But this one is it's variable speed. I don't have to change the pulleys out on it. You just crank it once you get it running, and it's got the wipers, they came with it, the one-shot oiler, all that stuff. And what a beautiful table that is after looking at this one. But I got a lot of good years out of this, and I'll still get some. I'll probably use this one mostly for a drill press for the most part. It's just, you know, I could sell it and probably get more than what I paid for out of it, but it's useful to me. I can leave my vise set up on it and have it trammed in. I don't have to move it all the time. But in this case, if you're clamping something down to the table and you're working a long distance on it, then this one is going to be a lot better because it doesn't have the low spots and the travel. You can move the travel all the way. You know, where on the other one, in order to keep it tight where you're working, you've got to tighten the gib so tight that it just stops moving when it gets out here. So probably the only thing left to as accessory wise on this one that I'll get yet will be a servo on the X. I really don't have a need for one on any of the other axes. This one here came with it, came with the servo on the Y and one on the X-axis. And I do use them, but not very often. I've got a setup where I can hook my drill up to it. I don't know whether people are familiar with this or not, but you can take and hook this into your cordless drill, and it can go on here, and you can run the knee up and down with your cordless drill. So I really don't have a need for a servo on that. So that being said, that's really just about it. I really didn't take up much more room than I had previously done. Now this one sits right across from the lathe. It's got just about enough room to get in here and move around without getting stabbed by anything. And I like this arm that I had to make this, and I made one on the other one too, just like it. It's a little bit better, or I like it better. I can, you know, you can move it if you need to. You know, I've got it tightened up, but you can move it. And in this case right now, I've just got it tight, and I've got the DRO so I can move it a little bit. But it really works good for me. Here's the one on the Bridgeport, and it's set up the same way. That way you don't have to drill holes and put your bracket into the machine. So I just hook it on back here where you've got I think you can put another head or something on back here. I'm not going to do that, so this is what I've done. And I just made those out of some 1x2 square tubing, rectangular tubing, and just made it to fit the Newall bracket. In this case, I've got the DRO Pros on this and my lathe. The only other thing that I was concerned about on this one was it being 3 horsepower. I was trying to stay at a 2 because I don't have 3-phase power here, so I'm using a rotary phase converter on both of the, well, actually 3 milling machines, and I've set up the SMV Vector lens over here to run this was a single phase machine, and the motor went out for the second time last winter, I think, and I had some 2-horse 3-phase motors, and I went ahead and converted it over to 3-phase. And I just run this one off of a variable frequency drive, this SM Vector made by Lens. There's a lot of different ones, but that's what I'm using. But anyhow, I was concerned on this one running it on my rotary phase converter because it's a 5-horse converter, and normally they say that you only run half that power on one, so this one would be limited to 2.5 horsepower. But I've hooked it up to this 3-horse. It starts fine, runs fine, so far I have no problems. So that's what I'm doing on that. Give you a little bit update of the progress of what we're doing right now. This is the 250 MX Yamaha, and I had to stop because I had some wore out components. All this stuff here was just so worn out, I couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do, so I was able to find all 3 of these brackets. So I should be getting back onto this one pretty soon and getting the side cover. It's on there now, but we'll be finishing up this side. I've got, I think, just springs coming in for the clutch is all I'm lacking. They should be in next week. Other than that, I've got the Kawasaki over here, and it's, you just saw in the video on that one where we did some measuring on the cylinder, and I got another cylinder that is a standard bore. So depending on what we're looking or what we can find for pistons, we've got a way to fix that one. I've got kind of unrelated here, but I'm working on, got some car guys here, and I don't know whether I'm the only guy in town that does 9-inch forward rear ends and traction lock type work, but I've got several of them to do right now. So I've got traction lock rebuilding and the differentials. I'll be putting the ring gear and pinion in, setting those up. That's I don't normally show any of that stuff on my channel. It's basically just the motorcycles and the machine work that goes along with them. But I may at some point, I've got a couple videos on there about some work like this, but I just generally don't show it. I've got a Suzuki TS250 at the bore. This is the same as the one I have, but not mine. And it'll be getting this Wiseco piston. And really that's about it. We're waiting on paint for the 125 MX and the AT1 to CT1 and the TS250 Suzuki. I've got a front fender yet to do and a side cover, I believe. The forks, this is all Yamaha stuff. Got the frame down here as soon as the weather, this is for the F7. As soon as the weather clears up and I can get out there and hose everything off, should be maybe be able to start doing that here in the next month. And these are the Hatta forks we just rebuilt, and these are the wheels off of the F7, and we'll be doing some wheel work. I'll have to order some spokes from Buchanan's, and we'll be working on that stuff. So that is just pretty much the update for the shop. The main thing for this was the getting the lathe, or getting the mill and getting it set up and introducing you to that, because you're going to be seeing that pretty soon. Probably the first thing I'll be doing is boring one of these cylinders on it. It's a little bit quieter. I can run it at a little bit faster RPM because I don't have to change the belts out. I'll just be able to crank it up. Probably about 200 RPM is where I'll be doing it. On the Bridgeport, I was at 135 because I just don't like changing the belts. So I would run at, I've got the high range and low range. So I pretty much did everything at 135 and 1,115. Okay guys, that's just about it for the new machine, a little bit of the shop update. You know, I really kind of try to steer clear of shop type videos as far as tours. I have been asked several times, and I just really don't like to do it very much, but maybe, you know, give me your input on that. If you'd like to see something like that, maybe I'll consider it. But so many of those things just kind of, in my opinion anyway, I watch some of them and they kind of turn into a braggart type thing. And I don't want to come across that way. And, you know, I'm not, even if I did it, I wouldn't be opening all the drawers and the shelves and all that stuff up. But I would just kind of focus on more of the specialized equipment and that sort of thing. So give me your thoughts on that, and if you'd like to see something like that, and then I'll think about it. But it's I just have always kind of steered clear of that. But let me know your thoughts on it. I think that's about it for today. I really hoped I could have got more footage, because it is a big deal getting that lift gate, getting all that down, and it's actually a bigger deal for me because I don't have any way really to lift. The hardest part, believe it or not, is getting the thing off the pallet. And when they had to transfer it from truck to truck and bring it back, they had to, for some reason, put another pallet under it. So that doubled my problem. But I was able to do it with a friend and some big square pipe, and we took it and spanned the square tubing across the vehicle lift that I have, and we were able to lift that up, pull the pallets out, and get it on the floor. And then once on the floor, it's real easy. Well, before we put it on the floor, we put it on pipe. I had a bunch of short sections, 4-foot sections, I think, of 3/4 inch pipe, and we just set it on there, and you roll it, and as one pipe rolls out from under it, you pick it up and you move it to the front, and you just keep moving and keep laying the pipe underneath it as you go along. And that's how we moved it. And once you get it to pretty much to your location that you want it, I've just got a big bar called a Burke bar. Some people call them a Marshall Town bar, I think. Anyway, it's like a huge pry bar, and you can just move it, ½ inch at a time, and it makes it real easy, actually. This machine, both of these, weigh right in at about 2,450 pounds. So it's kind of a daunting task when you think about it, but using some very archaic type principles, you can move it around like the Flintstones. So anyhow, hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.